banks can become a platform, as we've heard about, we're moving from websites to APIs. And yeah, I suppose if we think about it like, if websites are human interfaces to data, then APIs are programmatic interfaces to data. And yeah, we've been evangelizing about this since early 2010. And so the OpenBank project is an open source API for banks. We provide an open standard API that anyone can implement, and we provide a reference implementation of that. We have a large developer community that is trying out the API, using the API to build applications and services. And that's resulted in a bunch of applications. So by now we have a kind of application ecosystem. So ranging from, on the left, that's a Polish company making this business analytics software, to PFM on the right. And then a whole bunch of other applications ranging from things for social finance, so more transparent applications. On the right there, you see that the bottom right application was developed at a hackathon in Brazil. It's using the geotagging we have in the API. Funny applications like the singing bank and so on and so forth. And that's all made possible by this open source stack that we have. So you can see that basically the blue bits are the bits that the bank provides, and the orange bits is our stack, our system. It's written in Scala, which runs in the JVM, so nice modern type-safe functional language. Basically, we expose this nice RESTful API, which is a banking model. So banks don't have to decide how they're going to call their resources. They're just already defined. And what needs to be done is connecting to the back end. And we have two approaches to that. Really, we have this connector layer here, which can talk to the internal APIs, SOAP services, etc. Or we have, this is a kind of new approach that we've used before, but we're thinking about it now more, and that's OpenBankProject message queue, which we pass messages onto it. Say we want transactions for this account, and here's the security token for that. And then the bank can either listen to and respond, or ignore if it doesn't want to play ball, as it were. As well as the core banking resources that we surface, we have a couple of other subsystems which add value to the core banking data. So we have a metadata system, which is about adding extra information to counterparties, transactions, customers, that kind of thing. So you can add tags, comments, URLs, geotags, that kind of thing. All that information gives rise to other applications, and yet it would probably take a long time to add these fields to the core banking. So this data can go into the bank's Oracle DB2 or a big database if they want, but equally it can use locally stored Postgres or MongoDB, NoSQL, whatever, that kind of thing. So this is a much more agile way of adding value to the core banking, which has long change cycles. Then we have another subsystem which is about giving different access to accounts. Just not assuming that it's the account holder that's accessing the API, but it might be someone who's got guest access or an auditor or something like that. I'll show you a bit more about that in a minute. In our system, we have an OAuth Server, which we Apache license actually, And that means that all the applications authenticate using OAuth, and we connect to the bank authentication system there. And then we have other layers which are handling the permissions, what can be seen, and then it's surfaced at the API at the top. And yeah, we imagine that some of the other API vendors might be at this layer here to do rate limiting, security, that kind of stuff. We don't handle that at the moment. So we might add those features later on, but at the moment we're focused on this, on the banking model and the added value there. So as well as that stack, which is on GitHub and under the AGPL, we have a bunch of Apache licensed SDKs, and these are very, very pretty simple, small SDKs, but basically they handle the OAuth flow. We're using OAuth 1.0a actually, just because when we started with it, OAuth 2 had quite some, was getting quite some bad press and some issues with it. And anyway, OAuth 1 is good and secure. It's a bit tricky to get right, but these libraries help. So at Hackathons, we suggest that the developers use those to get going quickly. And we also have like a Docker file. So if you want, you can run the OpenBankProject on your laptop, or you don't need to use Docker. Obviously, you can just run it straight away. Yeah, so as I said, we've got the OAuth server, and this can be customized for the bank. So here you see it being used in a couple of different contexts for Ulster Bank. We did 5 hackathons for BNP Paribas. That was the top right one was there. And all the apps that I showed you before, they're all using the OAuth flow, and which authenticate against that service there. So a little bit about the API itself. So versioning. So there's a debate that goes on, continual debate. How should you do versioning in APIs? Should it be in the header, or should it be in the URL? Well, we decided to do it in the URL. So just so that you can easily shove this URL into a browser, and it just works, you know, and you can see it. You don't have to use any curl or anything like that. Documentation, we started by using a wiki in GitHub, and we still have that, but actually recently we built an API endpoint which has the documentation of the APIs on the server, including itself. So it's a little bit self-referential, but basically the idea of that is that then we can plug that into Swagger or any of the other tools should be able to consume that API documentation. And one of the tools that consumes it already is an API Explorer that we have in one of our apps called Social Finance. And that's nice because you get a list of the APIs and then you can just try them out. And the really cool thing is that you can try them out in the context of who you're logged in as. So if I'm logged in as Simon and I'm using my online banking, then I should be able to make the API calls from the perspective of me. So that's quite nice. And that's going to help developers build applications because they can get access to the sandbox accounts, the test accounts at the bank, and then maybe even production accounts one day. And yeah, that documentation, we put it actually in the code. So this is the Scala code for this the API call to add a message for a customer, and we add the documentation here just above it, and we found that's really nice because it helps to keep it really in sync with what it's actually doing. So just some things about the API. So we started thinking that we would have one instance of the OpenBank project can be used for multiple banks. So if you imagine RBS, say they wanted to have an OpenBank project, then you could have /banks and then /RBS, NatWest, Ulster Bank, etc., etc. And yeah, you can see the result in using the API Explorer there. That's actually, we have OpenBank project connected to German banks in Germany via legacy API. So there's 3,000 banks or whatever connected there. Another design decision we made about the API, the structure, is that we don't assume that it's just the account holder accessing an account. So we have this concept of views on bank accounts, so that to get everything at the moment, you need to use the owner view, but you might have an app which is for auditors or for shareholders or for the regulator, or you can define your own view, and then each view can have basically fine-grained access control. So you can turn on and off all the fields that this view is allowed to see. So like the IBAN, the metadata, and so on and so forth. And also you can have rules about what you're allowed to do on that view. So can you add a tag or an image or a comment, that kind of thing. So this is obviously greater functionality than you would get from an API which is just surfacing transactions and core banking, the raw core banking data. So we have other features in the API. So guest access, like I said. So this gives rise to applications where you might have an accountant who wants to access the data. He's given access by the account holder. And we even have public views on accounts, so obviously that can be turned on and off in the API. And then we have things like aliases, so that counterparties can be given aliases for preserving privacy and so on. And as I mentioned earlier, you can add metadata to the core banking resources, so URLs and so on and so forth. So if, say, you want to add a picture to a transaction, maybe it's a receipt or it's a picture of the house that you've just bought, then you can do that using the OpenBank Project API. Our roadmap is here, openbankproject.com/roadmap, and yeah, we're working on this at the moment. And yeah, we're probably the next thing is to clean up the API permissions a bit, move it into a separate resource, because it seems a lot of information when you get back account data right now. And then we're going to work more on user roles and so on. And we've got a few hackathons coming up. So with RBS in Edinburgh in a couple of weeks, then in London, back here, it will be a general hackathon, and then we're doing something in Delhi. Details to be discovered by me and other people as well. But yeah, that looks fun. I haven't been to Delhi for a while, a couple of years. That was it. Yeah. Questions, Mike. Yeah. You can take the mic. Static, sorry. Not on purpose.
I forgot my question now.
Yeah.
I've got two questions, actually. Joining new data sets together using your API, is that possible? And the second question is relating to monitoring the traffic that's coming through and the management of scope and all that good stuff. What about all of that?
Okay. So what do you mean by joining data together? What do you mean?
Mash it together with what's coming back from the bank.
Oh yeah.
And add additional value out to an app?
Yeah, so I guess that would happen at this layer here. So if you need to call out, so this layer here would be calling out to APIs in the bank, but you could just as well call out to external APIs, probably on the other side of a message queue or something like that. So it's all good and non-blocking. And the other question was?
Managing the scope and what you're saying coming through, security monitoring, that type of stuff.
So we started adding some monitoring of API calls and storing them, and then we kind of reverted to just letting Apache do that. So there's plenty of tools that you can put on, to analyze Apache log files, and so that's what we have at the moment. Although we do have the capacity to log API calls, but keeping it simple for now. And like I said, the other API vendors could do that up here, right? That could be that role for now. There, Jack, thanks.
Yeah, hello, Jakob from Predictor, startup in Austria. So you're taking some, you give the possibility to store additional data fields that do not go back to the core banking system.
Yeah.
So they are stored at your servers.
Well, but
so maybe you can elaborate a bit on how you store them and how you take security mechanisms, because this might be.
So this is all designed to sit in the bank, right? So that's the bank firewall up there. We do run it in the cloud for our purposes as well. Yes. But in this scenario, when the bank is installing it, then they will install it in their data center, and then it's up to them if they want to store it in their corporate standard databases, but they can store it in open source databases if they want to as well.
No, once again, so your API allows that I can add, let's say, a picture to a transaction.
Yeah.
But actually the picture does not leave your system, it's not going back to the bank. Or does it go back to the bank?
No, well, what's the definition of the bank? So this could be in their data center, but it might be some Postgres or MongoDB database, right? But it's still in their data center, but it's not their core banking. Yeah?
Okay.
So this is core banking, the purple, and the orange is just any database, but sitting outside. And we link the data here together using the transaction IDs or the counterparty IDs. Yeah.
Okay, so anything that is stored in these fields. So I can, as a third-party plugin provider, fill these data fields or not?
Yeah, you can.
Yes. So I fill these data fields, and the bank can then see this data. Yeah.
Well, whoever has access to that,
Excellent.
to those,
Excellent. Okay.
So it's a good question. Good, thank you for and I think it gives rise to a kind of another ecosystem of data. Yeah. So you could have some apps which are really cool at like populating geotags or something like that, or some apps which are really good at adding.
Let's talk about categorization.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
So there might be a very good app that helps you to categorize transactions on the fly. So. You go to a retail store, you buy something, the app is connected with OpenBankProject, immediately pops up and says, now please categorize what you just bought. So now let's say this app exists and the user uses it. So if I build another app, I can use all this data and make additional, let's say, PFM and so on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
Very cool. And so it's stored at the bank, so you just have the API, you're not storing data yourself at the OpenBankProject.
We're not. Yeah. The idea is that anyone can run that where they want, right? So we do run an instance of it in Germany. It's open source, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi, Simon. It's Farhan from Freeze Family Finance.
Hey.
Do you have any plans to upgrade to OAuth 2? Because it did have bad press in the beginning, but it's quite stable now, and it's something which is very widely used.
It's definitely a possibility. Yeah, it's partly kind of resource thing, I guess, and partly yeah, is it really more secure to use OAuth 2, or is it probably not, right? It's almost certainly not more secure. It might be more, yeah. So we're open, but not trivially open, if you see what I mean.
So are you open to someone external to have to write?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the OAuth, so the authentication system that we have is pluggable, you know. So just like we have this connector architecture everywhere, then we can plug in another provider.
Who has OAuth 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could do that. Yeah. It's deliberately shown in a kind of separate box here, right? As long as the apps can send the OAuth tokens, then it's just that we provided the OAuth 1, you know, out of the box type thing. So yeah, and I'm happy to talk to you about that if you like. Yeah.
I've got a question.
Okay, Jack, go on then.
How have you had any banks themselves get involved in contributing code to the project, and or when you've spoken to them about that, how have they reacted? Not yet.
Code, I think we have some developers who are starting to contribute code. For instance, we have developers who are doing the PHP SDK, you know. But we're finding banks wanting to talk to us about the APIs. There's one here that I met here today, which is yesterday, very cool, talking about common payment API, because we have a kind of common payments front-end API, and they wanted to discuss that with us. So that's a good start, I think. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey.
What's the end game for the Open Bank project, sort of in the long term, and are there any sort of competing architectures out there at the moment?
Well, firstly, world domination, of course. Secondly, no, there's no competitors, none whatsoever. No, I'm joking, I don't know. But I think we're the only open source stack that is, and I think obviously there's plenty of general purpose API management vendors, and they're really cool. And I think it would be good to partner with them as well. So that's one of the reasons why we did an API for our documentation, is that it would be easy for any system to suck in that documentation, and it's always up to date because it comes right from our source code. You know, so as soon as you update you deploy a new version, then you've got the documentation. And I think we're certainly the first and only open source banking model. You know, yesterday we announced a partnership with Temenos, who have 700 banking clients, whatever. So we're going to work with them, and not quite sure how yet, but we are, you know, and we've been developing that relationship over the last couple of years. So that's cool, and we're good. So that means the Open Bank project will be available on their marketplace, and Open Bank project enabled apps as well. So it's definitely our approach is to partner with people, you know. Yeah.
Thanks. Hi, Simon.
Hey.
Have you thought about partnering with somebody like Red Hat to get traction in the market? Not many banks. Many banks use open source.
Yeah.
Not many open source vendors have the scale and skills to actually be a strategic vendor. There are a number of Linux distributors out there, mainly Red Hat.
Yeah.
Has the kind of the visibility and the skills and the relationships here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be far better for you to partner with someone like Red Hat and say, let's build an ecosystem for banking, because they supply the back-end architectures for running HPC and other servers.
Yeah.
They have app developers.
Yeah.
That would be a faster way for you to get into bigger banks, I think.
Totally open to that kind of thing. So actually I met Ismail at the Open World Forum in Paris, like 3 years ago or something, wasn't it? 4 years ago. I always forget these year things. But yeah, so we're totally open into the open source community. Yeah. It'll be good. Okay. Oh, great. Hey, Stefan.
Hi. Open source does not necessarily mean it's for free. Is it for free?
Yeah, it's for free. I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? So we license the core thing under the AGPL, which is the strict open source license, and that means if you modify this stuff here, then you should either contribute it back push it back to GitHub, and we have a contributors license agreement, CLA, which we like you to sign. Or pay us for a commercial license, which gets you community building support and community building services, commercial support, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's why we put it the core under the AGPL, so that you can either be generous in terms of money or code, but one or the other. But the SDKs and actually the OAuth Server is currently under Apache license. But the SDKs are Apache license, so that an app developer can take it and then just write their app, and they don't need to worry about anything.
I think we have time for one last question from.
Hi, Mike. Business to business side. Yeah, I mean, right now it is focused on transactions for an account holder, but with these roles that we're putting in, you can imagine like users who have super user access, to multiple accounts. So maybe a bank clerk needs to see a range of accounts. So that's on the roadmap. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Ismail.
Yeah.